Hi, I'm David.
And I'm Donna.
And someone put more than 6 gallons of gasoline in a virtually empty VW Jetta TDI, which runs on diesel fuel.
Well, that someone would be me. But I did hear from our tow truck driver that at least several people call him a week with the same problem. So we're going to show you what you can do, just in case you happen to do the same thing. Luckily, I didn't start my car. I did learn that adding a large amount of gasoline to a small amount of diesel could actually cause my engine to detonate. At first I thought I could just siphon it using the hose, but David told me that late model VWs and other cars have an anti-siphon screen down in the fuel filler neck. That's why you can't siphon from the fuel filler. If you're at a filling station, you'll have to move the car out of the way. The key must be in the on position but not start in order to move the steering wheel. The fuel pump will be activated, so don't waste any time.
Once the car is out of the way, you really have a couple of choices. You can take the car to a service station and have it fixed, or you can do it yourself and save hundreds of dollars. We're going to show you how. As you can see, we've already jacked up the car and put it on stands. And what we noticed is that the fuel tank doesn't have a drain plug. So we're going to go through the top of the tank, where the fuel pump sending unit is. So to go in through the top of the tank, we first have to remove the seat. And there are 3 different kinds of attachments to detach. The first are the child seat anchors, and there are 4 of them, and you want to grab them here. Now this seat has already been pulled out. Yours would be tight up against it, and they're not that easy, so you want to use 2 hands and pull on them to release the seat. The next attachment points are at the front of the seat, and there are 2 of them, and you lift up and you'll see these hooks going into the front of the seat. The third type of attachment you simply get loose by pushing the seat back, and it's at the side of the seat. And as you push it back up against the seat back, it'll unhook there, and we can lift the seat away. Now with the seat out of the way, we can lift the underseat carpeting and we expose a black plastic cover. You can see this has already been removed and it's just placed here. Hold the carpeting out of the way, remove the rubber wiring boot, and you lift up the black plastic cover, which simply snaps out. This wiring will still be attached. You want to carefully pry up and wiggle this off. It seems to be quite tight, but it'll come free if you take your time. Then you can move the wiring out of the way. And this will be fairly dirty the first time you pull this, so you want to take a shop vacuum and clean the area around the fuel lines and the wiring connector. Then use a damp rag to pick up any of the remaining dirt. There are 2 fuel lines. The black one supplies fuel to the engine, and the blue line is a fuel return line, which returns the unused fuel to the tank. You push in the release clip at the long end. There's a long end of each one. And you can see this one's actually a little bit blue. You push it in and they snap off. They don't get out of the way very easily. This ring would be normally fully attached. The same with the black line. This ring is actually difficult to take out if you don't have a special tool. If you don't, you use a brass drift and a hammer and lightly tap it counterclockwise to unscrew it. Once the ring is out, you want to carefully lift out the fuel pump and sending unit, remembering that there is a fuel float. So you'll have to tip the unit a little bit to get it out. And be careful of the gray seal around the edge. So now we want to siphon the gasoline out of the tank using a simple siphoning device. Make sure the end is all the way in at all times in the gasoline, and prime it with a couple of pumps on the bulb while holding the end so it creates a suction, and it should start flowing into the gasoline can. If your mixed fuel is mostly gasoline, you might be able to use it in a lawnmower or a weed whacker. The last pint or so of fuel left in the tank you won't be able to siphon, so you'll have to use clean shop rags to absorb the gasoline. And since we didn't start the engine at any time, we won't need to purge the fuel lines, which would require siphoning the lines at the fuel filter canister. So now it's time to put everything back together. To form a good seal, we're putting diesel fuel on the underside of this gray seal. First, we put the gray seal into the tank, making sure we have a little bit of diesel fuel lubricating both the seal on the tank and the gray one we're installing. Now we're ready for the fuel pump sending unit. So now we are inserting the fuel pump and sending unit very carefully past the gray seal. And we take our retaining ring that we've marked with the white paint and line it up with the white paint on the tank ring and this white label, and keep this tab where it was before. And we're tightening the ring. And I'm going to use a torque wrench for the final tightening. Okay, now with the torque wrench we want to tighten it to 81 foot-pounds. So now we're going to reconnect the fuel lines, remembering where they went. The black line is there, and the blue line is there, and they just snap right in. And now we're going to connect the electrical connector, which fits through the slot in the black plastic disc. And to connect the electrical connector, we have the black plastic cover in place. And notice the arrow pointing towards the front of the car. And we put it in place. And now we're ready to put the black plastic or rubber boot into the black plastic cover, keeping the wiring secure, and we'll put the carpeting back and install the seat. And now to push the seat in, we pull the four collars in the back of the seat out, and we pull the seat belts through these slots in the seat, and pushing down on the back of the seat and pushing in on the front so that we catch the front latch down, and the seat is in. And finally, we push in the child seat anchor guides. There are 4 of them, and we're done with installing the seat.
Well, we've reconnected the battery and I'm putting in 5 gallons of diesel. I definitely will make sure that I pick the right fuel for the TDI the next time.